Let's skip.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another brand new, beautiful Friday with Bob Eden, all the way from Australia, and me, Anne, all the way from Sweden. So we are really global, aren't we? I think this is brilliant. And
Yeah,
today we have Friday, November 8th in Europe and US, and Saturday, November 9th in Australia. Oh my goodness, we are soon coming to Christmas, aren't we? And
oh, Christmas.
yeah, Christmas. You were watching Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show on Cosmic Guardians with hosts Bob and we are going to talk about the opposite direction. This is a really intriguing topic for me, to be honest with you. And the last show on Cosmic Guardians was on November 6th in US and Europe, November 7th in Australia. And we talked about what is the difference between integrity and opinion. We did pre-record the video because we weren't able actually to be live on air with you, but we were in the chat section and the comment section. And last show on Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show, was last week, last Friday, November 1st. Happy new month, right? And Saturday, November 2nd in Australia. So you can connect with us, find upcoming shows, past episodes, read articles, and more at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians and find out past and the upcoming episodes at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming and the little thing there. I need, every time I say it, I know I need to learn what it's called in English. But anyway, upcoming, past. And we always go live at facebook.com/cosmic guardians and youtube.com/at angelplaceonearth. Well, welcome, Bob. Great guy. Greatest. How are you?
Uh, yeah, still waking up. It takes a while now. I was just looking. Either my head's twisted or my glasses are. There's something weird going on here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm good.
Hey,
Got no idea what I'm going to talk about, but that's probably not true. Like
I don't
always,
think it's true.
always I'm winging it, and yeah, this topic has been like bubbling away in the background for me for a long time, and it's just like a personal observation. But I'll just tell you a little story about how how I came to choose this opposite direction as a topic. Um, Now, I was born into this world as a magical little being that was totally naive, totally innocent, totally in line with creation. And what I get the picture of is this little child, and somewhere deep within was a golden pearl shining its bright light out. Now, within that golden pearl resides my moral compass, if you like, which is where I get how to know what's right or wrong. And it's also the repository of me knowing me. The I am of me resides in there.
Yeah.
But also, there is a little seed in there which I call the divine plan. Now, consciousness or creation, or what you can call it, um, has a, a life plan for all of us, I believe. It's like the soul contract. And so, all of this beautiful knowing resides in this golden pearl deep within me. But as I get older, um, I get more and more programs wrapped around me, you know,
Yeah.
about how to behave in society, trust the indoctrination system, which teaches us what to think, not to think, but all the other programs that go on about how we're supposed to behave. And they're wrapping around me, wrapping around me, wrapping around me. And the more programs I take on board, the dimmer that light from that golden pearl becomes, until finally comes the day when there's the last the last program, the straw that breaks the camel's back, and I can no longer see or feel that light of divine guidance. And
Yeah.
that time for me was
Mm.
November 1984, when I had my panic attack, and which led me into a journey of discovery uh, that took 20 years. I may be I may have a great intellect, but I'm a bloody slow learner. But yeah, and I realised that in my life, I was captain of my ship, but I was unconscious. I was an unconscious captain, and just going along with whatever was put on board. I was getting orders for where to go from external sources, you know. But during that awakening phase of the gift of depression, I I realised that my healing journey was going in the absolute opposite direction of my upbringing. But also, if I look at the whole of humanity, the whole of humanity has been doing that for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And I think it's slowly, slowly becoming less, in as much as more and more people are are waking up to their inner knowing and shrugging off this programming. So that's how I describe the opposite direction. For me, humanity needs to stop and go in the opposite direction,
Yeah.
and get back in touch with your divine plan. That's what it feels like for
Exactly.
me.
Yeah, I agree with you because um, you could also state it as not going outwards and seeking things on the outside all the time, going within, turning around the opposite direction, because in here, that's where we create the connection. That's where we hear our answers, because it's so noisy in the world, and there are so many ways of telling us this is what you should do. Look at the TV, for instance, right? All the commercials, everything, the news. Um, we are bombarded. When we come here, we are very, very innocent. And then not to blame our parents because they did whatever the best they could at the time they were doing it, right? So, because we are all a product of this, but becoming awake and changing direction in life, it means looking within and finding your answers, right?
Yeah, well, when November '84, when I entered the I got out of victim and entered the survivor stage in my life. It was like the current regime that was offered for treatment back then was just psychiatrists, psychologists, and these beautiful toxic petrochemical antidepressants that are psychotropic drugs, you know. And like I spent about 20 years being Robert the Robot with various weird conditions, you know, like one antidepressant made me impotent, the other one had me constant migraines, another one sleep apnea, and one was I had like fire ants crawling around inside my head. And thankfully, I realised after a part of time that I had to go in the opposite direction. I had to get away from this, and by doing that, by getting rid of these toxins I was paying to put into my body to kill me, that's insanity. I could finally get in touch with my feelings, and that was that was where the healing began. I could
Yeah.
feel all these trapped feelings from my scary childhood, and I was able to release them, and that was 50% of my awakening, if you like.
Yeah.
Get
So
releasing.
how did you practice in a practical way try to approach your awakening? Because in the beginning we can feel quite confused, right?
Well, I think the first thing I had to do was learn how to silence my mind. And most people, a lot of people do it through meditation and blah 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 blah. There's all these gurus out there that I can show you the right way to meditate. Well, for me, that statement is so much bullshit, because just going back to first principles, all are sovereign, unique, and equal. You know, if we're all unique, then I am the only expert on my life. You know, so I had to
Yeah,
find
exactly.
my own way to silence my mind, because I could hear
Yes.
my heart mumbling behind it. And I just did it through a creative visualization, and ended up treating
Exactly.
my mind just as a tool, or a pet, or something
Yeah.
I have to look after, like my dog. So I take my technical mind for a run every day because it gets feisty. But when it comes back after a successful mission of information gathering, I say, "Thank you very much, mind. It's a treat. Now back in your basket. I'll take
Yeah.
you for a run tomorrow." And it was that realization that my mind is just another tool that I use when I choose, for I'm so much more than my mind, was really, really empowering. And then once I'd mastered that, the mind's off doing what I told it to do, and it's all safe and happy and enjoying the exercise. And then the pathway is clear for me to listen really, really clearly to what my heart is telling me to do, and my body.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And meditation, sometimes we go into deep meditation. Other times, if we are in our own space, undisturbed, sometimes doing small tasks, right? That's the way for me too. That's equally great because I get the flow coming when I do
yeah.
that.
I think that's a great skill to develop, or a great sense to develop, is the sense of noticing. Like, I became the observer of me in my life. It's like, in those days it was a webcam, but I've upgraded to a drone now. So I have my own personal drone that's about a meter above me and a meter back, just looking down on me as I go through my life and observing how I interact with my life. But also, it helps me to notice how my conscious life intention is at play during the day. And
Yeah,
my conscious life intention is, I am here to have a gentle, joyful, loving, healthy, and abundant life. And so, by reviewing my day at the end of each day, I can see where that conscious life intention has actually been at work during the day. And so I give a big thumbs up to the universe. Good on you, mate. And let's see what tomorrow brings. But
exactly.
I got here where I am simply by, I can't put it any more basic than listening to my
Yeah,
body, listening to my
yeah,
heart, and
yeah,
obeying them. And I have the freedom in my life now to really do that. If I feel angry, I can go and scream at a tree, or if my body feels tired, then we sleep, and I can do that any time of the day. If my body wanted to sleep right now, I'd be gone. That's how how powerful
yes,
how powerful I respond to what my body's telling me.
yeah.
And I totally
That is
trust.
powerful. I
Yeah,
I I do listen 99% of the time, but I didn't listen this summer, did I? So I broke my leg.
and I love what you
Ye-
said about. I love what you said about you don't have to go into a deep meditative state. Talking about
No.
this sense of noticing, in my life, once I developed this sense, I just started noticing, hey, Bob, you're whistling. What are you doing that puts you in this space where you're whistling, totally in the zone? And
Yeah.
things that do it for me, the number one is tinkering with old engines. That puts me in the zone. Just puts me totally in the zone. But I've even been in the zone using an angle grinder on my boat, clearing off some rust. I just there's nothing else. There's just the sunshine, the smell of the mangoes, the lorikeets chattering in the trees, and me with the angle grinder. Bob's in his heaven, all's right with the world.
Yeah.
And so what
You,
I consciously decided to do was I made a note of all these activities that put me in the zone, and now I just try and fill my day with those activities
yeah,
when I can. It's easy.
exactly. Yeah, it is easy. I love connect with nature, doing things, for instance, in the garden or, whatever it is. Not talking to too many people, but just being there, doing my stuff. Um, cheering the animals, cats, birds, whatever is going to come close to me, right? And doing the thing, and that's so relaxing. And when we are in that state, it can feel like, when we are just about to go to sleep, when we can feel like waves in the body. It almost feels the same way. And that's when we are very, very relaxed and we are receptive, just letting things come and go. Because even thoughts, I spent a few years trying to monitor my thoughts, because that is what they say you're supposed to do with meditation, right? That's um, that was really a failure for me. I couldn't do that because I also think a lot. But even when we are guided, it can come as thoughts. If it's not us reflecting on ourselves, it can be thoughts that we know are not our own, right? So it comes. So that is a wonderful place to be. I call it being in the flow.
Yeah, and I think everybody is in the flow, but a lot of them are still unconscious captains. So
Yeah,
they're in their ship, they're going down the river, but they don't know. They don't know that they have the ability to steer their ship.
exactly. And I think something else as well, because we haven't been taught in this world to really trust what we are receiving for ourselves. So when we get things, and I hear a lot of people saying this, and they say, I don't know how to trust my intuition. I don't understand really how to trust what I'm getting, because my logic mind, and they are a lot still in their mind, right? It's telling me that I can't really do it that way. But we need to start believe in what we are receiving, and that anything is possible,
Yeah.
everything is possible.
Well, it's possible now that I've got to let Skipper out because he needs to pee. So keep
Okay.
talking for a few minutes. Come on,
Absolutely.
here he goes.
So everybody, we are here today talking about the opposite direction, and one can actually say that turning inwards instead of outwards, that's a big part of that direction. So we can embrace what's coming from within us. It's a journey to inner peace. There's a lot of stillness in it. And if we have questions that we need answers to, it doesn't mean that we are going to get instant answers sometimes. Many times it comes in an instant, and other times it takes a little bit of time. But give it that time, connect with yourself. Plus, I want to give heads up for this. When we are working on ourselves and we are turning the direction to the opposite direction instead of outwards, inward, we are also starting to loving ourselves, and that is a key. That is a big key, right, Bob? Is Giver okay?
Yeah, yeah, he's awesome. Um, what I was just thinking of was you said, people for some reason don't trust their intuition, and
Yeah,
and again that comes from those programs that have been wrapped around us since the day we were born, and they can keep you can keep getting wrapped around with these programs till the day you die if you don't wake up. But
yes,
reclaiming the belief in me was a major part of the healing the wounds of my childhood and the inner work, going back and just remembering the day, the first time that I stopped believing in me, uh, and that was a Sunday morning. I was about 4 3/4 years old, and I got up, brushed my hair, and combed my teeth, and put on my red t-shirt, and bounced down to breakfast. And Mum said, "Bobby, go upstairs and put your blue t-shirt on because you know you love your blue t-shirt." So I stood up confused, thinking, "Oh, I love my red t-shirt. That's why I put it on. I'm still wearing it today." And, but Mum's mum, and she's very violent, and she's 80 foot tall. So I went up and I changed my t-shirt to the blue one, and that's my earliest recollection of me giving over my sovereignty and
yeah,
believing that people external to me knew what was best for me.
yeah,
But by going back and realizing that and healing that, and then the next necessary step was something that's sadly lacking in Western society was I synchronistically went through a rite of passage where I faced my own death. And I told that story lots of times about, that night on the boat when I couldn't breathe and all the lights went dim.
yes,
And instead of panicking and asking for the medics to come out and get me because I might be having a stroke, I just let my body do what it needed to do. And basically, I just went up on deck. It's dark. I could see 2 full moons. Couldn't breathe. And I jumped in the ocean and laid back like a big starfish. And I started breathing again. And that was the night I consciously bet my life on trusting my intuition, trusting that my body knew what it needed to do to heal. So that was my rite of passage. And I cannot imagine anybody getting very far in their ascension without actually going through that spiritual stage that used to be endemic in all of our cultures, in all the tribal cultures. It still exists, but it's been lost in Western civilization. And I think it's almost humorous to call it a civilization because the behavior isn't
exactly.
isn't often civilized, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and a question I used to have many years ago. I love to question things, and I was thinking all the time and talking about it. So how come in the Western world that's supposed to be so modern, so good, welfare, everything good, how come that we are so sick, for instance, or how come that there are so many other problems? Um, People have depression, like you have been talking about, right? Right? Because we are not made for this environment. We are made, created to hear our soul, but we are not taught to hear our soul in this world.
Mm.
And I didn't have, um, I had a few. episodes of depression in my life, but I didn't have something like a chronic or for a very long time. But I have encountered my share of challenges, and basically from 16 years of age, when I stopped school, I moved out from my mom, and I was alone, so I had to take care of myself. On the other note, I had a very good childhood with my great grandmother. She was my angel. She still is, even though she's not among us here, but she's with me. And yeah, I learned how to try to survive on a daily basis. And it's kind of, development for me came in stages. So when I was 20, I lost my boyfriend. He died in an accident. I think I said that before, right? And that was a really wake up call knocking on my shoulder. And I said, it has to be something more than this. I can't really accept what's going on here and how things work. And I had seen things from childhood, so I had that experience. I've seen a lot of things that we can't touch, right? Like spirits and entities and things of that nature. But I didn't ever encounter something really evil or bad. But I started to seek different things. But my real journey actually started the year 2000, when I said, "This is it. I know that I need to dig in." It came as a deep urge. And during that journey, I think around 2015, um, I had something that I call the dark night of the soul. So despite what I knew, and I'm a very, very positive person, I couldn't actually move forward. So I knew that there's something wrong here. Um, Not wrong, 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 but something that I don't see, something that I can't manage. So I actually got help from a healer, and I was introduced to this healer from Sue. We had the radio together. You remember Sue?
Yeah.
And I worked with her for I think three times, a couple of months, months each time, and for 6, 7 months or something of that nature. But it was in sessions, so to speak. And I finally got myself over the doorstep. So we can, when we work with someone, if someone helps us, we can actually move ourselves and see things that we need to release. There were a lot of things. And I was also guided this time. And this is a really, I get goosebumps when I say this. I was um, seeing a lot of things that went way deeper than I was acknowledging for myself, because I stated at some point in my early journey that I don't want to work with anything else. I want to work with angels, divine source, everything that we consider positive, right? I don't want to touch anything else. But then I came across this working with the soul. And that is a very, very deep thing. But when you work with the soul, you also have to acknowledge the dark side of things, right? Because it exists. We can't have the light without the darkness. And I think that that is a part of why I was stuck, because I didn't want to touch it. And everything is polarity. And if we have something positive, we're going to have on the other side of the same energy, we're going to have something we label as negative, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
off, off, after a few years, I'm just going to finish the story. It is mind blowing. After a few years, um, because I studied online soul realignment, and it turned out that the healer that helped me, without knowing that I signed up for the soul realignment, they were co-students. Plus, I talked to this healer 2022 around Christmas, because my soul sister Sue was sick and she died in March 23, right? But we talked. And I even talked to the healer, and the healer said, because I mentioned a guy, and I said, I used to read a lot of books about someone called Dr. Joshua David Stone. I don't think you've heard about him. It's not that out there, but he has soul psychology. It's deep. It's very deep stuff. And she said, his protocols are the basis for my work. And I said, are you kidding me? See how guidance works, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've found once I committed to totally trusting my my intuition, then my life unfolds synchronistically, and anything that I need for my greater good
Yeah,
turns up, even if I don't know what it is, you
yeah,
know. But as an example of living in the flow, um, and how my life synchronistically uh, brings me gifts, if you like. Um, I had a hard drive uh, with all my movie and documentary collection on it. It was almost 2 terabytes. And, I've collected lots of documentaries and movies over the years, some real gems. And I plugged it in and it wouldn't read, it wouldn't work. So I took it to the computer shop and it cost me $120 to find out it was, you know, buggered. and and I was sort of getting over the loss of that because there was some cracking information in there and entertainment. But I went to the tip the other day to get rid of some crap, and somebody had left a big cardboard box along the side where people leave stuff that's too good to throw away, you know.
yeah.
So I went over to this big cardboard box, and it's, I could barely lift it. I lifted the lid, and guess what? It was full of DVDs.
Oh,
So
that's
how's that? How's that for the universe saying, yeah, oh Bob, sorry for your loss, but here, maybe this will make up for it. You know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I think the what I would like people to take away from this little discussion is, uh, I think for personal growth, there is nothing more important than questions. Like question
yeah,
everything, and that's what I did. I started questioning everything, and then when I was so angry when I realised that everything I held as true, that my parents taught me, that school taught me, that life taught me, that the media taught me, was totally 180 degrees away from the truth, my truth. And
yeah,
so again, that's when I went in the opposite direction. And now, with my journey of discovery and natural healing for my prostate cancer, I'm doing exactly the same thing. Like the Western medical model is okay. Yeah, we can cut it out, but there'll be bits missing, and this is the downside of it. And I think this is against God. This is against my divine plan.
yeah,
God didn't create this universe, this earth, that me to disfigure His creation. It's insane that we believe that by cutting bits out of us, we're actually trying to improve on the work of creation, and that's for me. That's just the arrogance of the
yeah,
scientific community.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I
And
think
no,
science has
no,
a place.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Science, continue.
Uh, no, I just think that's probably about all I can say on this topic. So it's okay
Yeah,
to be short and sweet. And if I carried on, I'd be waffling. So I think what I don't give advice, but I would recommend people, just ask yourself basic questions like, if you are not creating your life, who is? And if you don't know the answer, then you're a victim by definition. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are creators because we are created as creators. We can
Yeah.
create anything, but we have been taught to believe that we cannot do that. So that is one of the first lies, right?
Well,
And we have more capability than we realize most often, right?
I'll close with this bombshell, um, and it comes from the Bible, and it's the Christ message. Um, I am the way, the truth, the light. No, that wasn't Jesus's claim. That was him telling everybody that we are. So I am the way, the truth, the light. And so are you, and so are you, and so are you, and so are you. For the kingdom of heaven resides in each of us, and it is part of our divine plan to find that place.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you
That's
very
beautiful.
much, Anne. Thank you.
Thank you too. I'm just going to make the end of show announcements, okay? So, thank you everybody for listening to us. And you have been watching Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show with host Bob and Ann discussing the opposite direction. It's very interesting. So, if you didn't
Oh,
see it from the beginning, yes, please go ahead.
I've got the topic for next week, and
Yes, 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 yes.
this will be a real ball buster. Is 4 words. God is not stupid.
Yeah, good one. Hang on,
I
I'm going to
like it.
type
I like it.
God is not stupid. No, and God is not also someone up there sitting on a throne, an old guy. He's in here. We are all a part of that. It's the energy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'll
So,
show.
yes, next show is going to be with Cosmic Sisters, and it's going to be Wednesday, November 13th in US and Europe, and Thursday, November 14th in Australia. We will be talking about astrology. So we will have special guest Adelina with us. And the next show on Bobby and the Spiritual Mechanic Show is next Friday, Wednesday. No, sorry. Next Friday, November 15th in US and Europe, and Saturday, November 16th in Australia. And the topic will be God is not stupid. That's going to be an intriguing one. And I say thank you for watching us and bye. See you next week. Bye, Bob.
Bye, darling.
Bye.